What's up everyone, do not even try here. Today we are starting a new series with my good friend at Historical Airsoft. The new series is called Gun V Gun, and the goal is to compare guns of the same eras and to see which one of them will be the best by category.
First off, we created 5 criteria to decide which firearm is the most effective. We came up with maximum effective range, fire rate, reliability, handling and ergonomics, and production cost and numbers.
First, let's talk about the effective range of both weapons. We start first by the range of the Thompson M1, that is about 150 meters.
The MP-40's maximum effective range is about 100 meters. Anything more than that couldn't really be achieved with the 9mm parabellum round that it fired.
Point for the Tommy.
Both submachine guns have an incredibly good rate of fire for their time.
But for this, the Thompson takes the cake with a fire rate of about 200 more rounds per minute than the MP-40.
The Thompson had a fire rate of about 700 rounds per minute, while the MP-40 was about 200 lower at around 500 rounds per minute.
The Thompson, for the Commonwealth nations, was not great reliability-wise. That can easily be explained by where the gun was used. It was used often in hot and humid jungles, where the reliability issues really stood out and were amplified. However, the Commonwealth nation really praised the gun for its sheer firepower and how effective it was at ambushing enemies. Also, the Thompson's magazine was one of the most reliable from the era based on its double feed box magazine design. Generally, the Thompson performed better than most Allied submachine guns under harsh conditions and was definitely one of the best that the Allies had available at this time.
The MP-40's reliability stemmed out of its simple stamped steel design. The MP-40's magazine problem stemmed out of the fact that it was a double-stack magazine. However, once the rounds reached the top of the magazine, it would turn into a single-stack magazine fed by some feeding lips. The friction from this would often cause the rounds to get stuck on one another and wouldn't feed into the gun properly. Also, the MP-40 had an open bolt design, which means it was more prone to get dust and debris stuck in the bolt system, and therefore was more likely to corrosion or failure. Overall, both weapons were extremely reliable, but we believe that the Thompson is the winner due to its ability to function properly in rough environments and for its well-designed feeding mechanism of the magazine.
The Thompson was fairly heavy, weighing about 10.8 pounds due to its milled steel and wood construction. Due to its long length and fairly big size, the Thompson was kinda hard to use for a more smaller person. It also had a lot of recoil. Another disadvantage of the Thompson was when the shell were ejected, there was a lot of expended gas that were thrown directly at the face of the shooter, which was a huge disadvantage because of how annoying it is. There is also a lot of advantage with this weapon. The weight can also be seen as an advantage because it reduces a lot of the recoil. It was also extremely safe to handle with the extremely easy to use safety mechanism. Another huge advantage of this gun is the ability to switch between semi and fully automatic. Put over that, the ability to use a drum magazine would drastically increase the number of ammo, and you got yourself a pretty decent weapon.
During sustained automatic fire, the MP-40 was easier to operate due to its lower rate of fire. Therefore, the muzzle would not climb up as much, or as high, or as fast as the Thompson would. Another downside of the MP-40 would be its lack of a proper safety. The only way to put the gun into safety would be to pull the bolt back and set it into this little notch that went up and over. You can see on this airsoft replica how, although on this one it doesn't go back all the way, the bolt would come in here and it would get stuck right here. Another problem that the MP-40 had that stemmed more out of the soldiers using it rather than its design would be the tendency that German soldiers had to grip the magazine. Along with not having a proper safety, the MP-40 did not have any mode for semi-automatic fire and was stuck in fully automatic fire.
However, we have both decided that overall the MP-40 was much easier to use than the Thompson. mostly because of the sheer weight of this weapon. The price of a Thompson nowadays will be about $616 US in modern money, and during the Second World War there was about 1.75 million built in all versions.
Per unit, each MP40 cost about $250 US in today's money to produce. There are 1.1 million of them made between the year 1940 and the year 1945. Due to the large numbers they are produced in, and the relative low cost of producing them, the MP40 takes the cake for the production cost and production numbers section.
In conclusion, both are really close to one another and are really about the same thing.
Both guns were really close, and it's hard to pick a clear winner in this episode of Gun v Gun, but we've decided to give it to the Thompson. So for this episode, the American Thompson is the winner of the competition.
He was just a rookie trooper, and he surely shook with pride. He checked all his equipment and made sure his pack was tied. He had to sit and listen to those awful engines roar. You ain't gonna jump no more.